What if the America the world keeps underestimating is already building the next era in plain sight? While critics debate decline, massive projects are reshaping how Americans travel, live, connect, and protect their cities. By 2035, will Europe still be comparing itself to the America of yesterday, while the real America has already moved far ahead? These are not distant promises. They are the first signs that everything is about to change. Texas goes supersonic. There is something almost cinematic about watching a train cut across Texas at more than 200 miles per hour, because this is the same state many outsiders still imagine through endless highways, pickup trucks, gas stations, and distances so wide that the horizon seems to need its own zip code. Then the picture changes completely. Dallas and Houston, two giant economic centers separated by a long and tiring drive, could be connected in roughly 90 minutes through Japanese Shinkansen technology. Suddenly, Texas is no longer defending the old American way of moving. It is quietly preparing to outrun it.
A $7 billion light rail is coming to Austin. This 9-mile project will feature 15 stations connecting key areas like downtown, South Congress, the University of Texas, and more. Right now, the release plans do not show a station at the airport. One highlight is a new bridge that extends over Lady Bird Lake. The fully electric light rail is expected to begin construction in 2027, with completion projected for 2033.
That contrast is exactly why this project surprises so many Europeans. In France, the TGV has made fast travel between Paris and cities such as Lyon feel ordinary. Spain's AVE network connects Madrid with major destinations at speeds that have long shaped everyday expectations. Germany relies on its ice trains, while Italy's Frecciarossa has turned long intercity journeys into something smooth, practical, and familiar. Because of that experience, some Europeans have grown used to thinking of American transportation as a permanent choice between driving for hours or arriving at an airport early enough to finish a small novel before boarding. Texas disrupts that assumption in the most American way possible. It takes an idea already proven elsewhere, places it inside a state larger than many European countries, and scales the ambition until the comparison becomes almost unfair. This is not a short link between two nearby historic capitals. It is a high-speed corridor across a landscape where road signs sometimes announce the next exit with the emotional distance of a long-distance relationship. The cultural shift matters as much as the engineering. American freedom has traditionally been tied to the steering wheel, the open road, and the ability to leave whenever you please. Yet freedom can also mean sitting comfortably with Wi-Fi, watching the planes blur past the window, and arriving without spending half the journey staring at the same pickup truck's tailgate. The train does not reject Texas identity, it adds another version of it, one that still respects distance but refuses to waste time on it. What makes the project especially powerful is the message it sends beyond transportation. Much of the international coverage about the United States focuses on aging bridges, congestion, political arguments, and projects that appear trapped in paperwork. Those problems are real, but they are not the whole country. A rail line designed to connect Dallas and Houston in 90 minutes shows another America. Practical, competitive, technologically ambitious, and still willing to build something enormous when enormous is what the map requires. Europe has every reason to be proud of its rail systems, and this comparison does not diminish them. This surprise comes from seeing the United States enter the same conversation with a distinctly American scale. When Texas decides that a journey is taking too long, apparently the answer is not to complain about traffic. The answer is to send a bullet train through it. America's new front door. Most countries introduce themselves with a passport stamp. New York prefers a $19 billion entrance hall.
John F. Kennedy Airport is the busiest airport in New York. It has 6 terminals, an AirTrain, and serves over 55 million passengers a year. You'll see flights taking off to cities across the world, from Tokyo to London to Cairo.
The transformation of JFK Airport matters because an airport is never merely a place where planes stop. It is the first physical argument a country makes about itself. Before a visitor sees Times Square, crosses the Brooklyn Bridge, or learns that a small American coffee can occupy both cup holders, the airport has already delivered the opening statement. For decades, international coverage often treated major American airports as proof that the nation had stopped building boldly, especially when newer terminals in places such as Madrid, Munich, or Amsterdam appeared calmer, brighter, and easier to understand. The new JFK is designed to challenge that picture before travelers even collect their luggage. Its reported $19 billion redevelopment is enormous, although the real story is not simply the amount of concrete being poured. The fascinating part is how New York is rethinking arrival itself. Biometric check-in, automated security systems, robotic baggage handling, digital directions, improved road access, and expanded rail connections are meant to remove the small moments of confusion that make a long journey feel even longer. Nothing destroys international excitement faster than landing in a famous city and immediately entering a personal relationship with a broken luggage carousel. European airports often communicate efficiency through restraint. Their signs are clean, their corridors feel measured, and the overall message is that everyone should move calmly in the correct direction. New York has never been especially interested in whispering. Its strength comes from energy, size, movement, and the sense that something important is happening 3 gates away. The new JFK is not trying to turn that personality into Scandinavian silence. It is giving New York's natural intensity a better organized stage. That distinction explains why the project could become strangely addictive for international visitors. The airport is expected to include vast glass-roof terminals filled with daylight, wide public spaces, gardens, lounges, shopping, and architecture shaped around New York's global identity. Instead of hiding travelers beneath low ceilings and fluorescent lights, it invites them into a space that already feels connected to the city outside. The journey begins before the taxi moves. There's also something deeply American about refusing to treat an airport as a waiting room. In the United States, large public projects often become miniature cities because the country understands scale differently. A terminal can have neighborhoods of restaurants, indoor gardens, rail links, digital navigation, and enough retail space to make a suburban mall feel slightly underdressed. Europeans may arrive expecting an upgraded transportation building and discover that New York has constructed an entire urban experience around the departure board. The most powerful effect may therefore be emotional rather than technical. When the first view of America is bright, efficient, spacious, and ambitious, old media images begin losing their grip. The country outside suddenly feels less like a place living on past achievements and more like one preparing for its next century. JFK will still be busy, unmistakably New York, and occasionally dramatic. The difference is that the drama may finally come with natural light, faster baggage, and directions that do not require the instincts of a detective. Giants Beyond Manhattan, New York has spent more than a century teaching the world to look upward, yet one of its boldest projects is rising where most people rarely look at all, several miles beyond the coastline. Out there, the Atlantic is being prepared for an entirely new purpose, as dozens of offshore wind farms, specialized ports, factories, and maintenance hubs begin forming what could become a clean energy city without streets, sidewalks, or a single overpriced Manhattan apartment.
The average wind turbine generates enough electricity in 46 minutes to power the average US home for 1 month. In a month, an average wind turbine produces enough power to cover the monthly electricity needs of 940 homes.
The most revealing detail is the height of the turbines. The project envisions next-generation machines taller than the Statue of Liberty, which feels almost mischievous beside New York's most famous landmark. Lady Liberty has welcomed ships since the 19th century, and now she may find herself sharing the horizon with enormous steel neighbors whose full-time job is catching the wind and sending electricity back to shore. Only America could take an invisible natural force, build a machine taller than a national monument to capture it, and then surround that machine with an entire industrial economy. That industrial layer is what makes this project more important than a dramatic ocean view. The turbines are only the visible part. Behind them comes a chain of ports capable of handling giant blades, factories producing specialized components, vessels carrying technicians, and maintenance centers built for machines standing in rough Atlantic water. A single turbine may look elegant from a distance, but supporting dozens of them requires the coordination of a shipyard, a power company, and a very determined weather forecast. Northern Europe already understands offshore wind well. Denmark has woven wind power deeply into its energy culture, while the United Kingdom has developed major turbine fields in the North Sea. Those projects often grow from coastlines where offshore engineering has become familiar over decades. The American difference lies in the scale of the surrounding market. These wind farms would rise beside one of the world's largest urban regions, serving an area where New York City alone consumes energy with the appetite of a small country that never sleeps and apparently never turns off its air conditioning. This is where the old media portrait of America starts feeling incomplete. International coverage often presents the United States as a country permanently attached to oil, highways, and political arguments over clean energy. Meanwhile, off the East Coast, engineers are preparing turbines taller than the Statue of Liberty and building new ports around an industry designed for the next generation. The debate may remain noisy because America rarely does anything quietly, but the construction tells a more useful story than the shouting. There's also something emotionally appealing about seeing an industrial coastline gain a second life. Ports that once moved traditional cargo can support clean energy equipment. Factory towns can manufacture components for machines planted far beyond the beach. The ocean stops being the edge of the economy and becomes part of it. By 2035, the Atlantic could function as a major clean power region for the United States. From the shore, the turbines may appear like thin lines against the sky, but their real footprint will extend through factories, docks, skilled jobs, transmission systems, and millions of homes. New York's skyline has always announced ambition through buildings. This time, the city is letting the horizon do the talking. 600 miles ahead. A train moves along rails, an airplane climbs into the sky, but America looked at both ideas and somehow decided the interesting option was a passenger capsule fired through a low-pressure tube in the Nevada desert. That sentence sounds like the opening of a summer blockbuster, yet engineers have already been testing the basic concept, with future systems aiming for speeds close to 600 miles per hour. At that pace, the journey would stop feeling like travel and begin resembling a very polite form of teleportation. The deeper fascination here is not speed by itself. Europe already knows fast transportation through France's TGV, Spain's AVE, Germany's ICE, and Italy's Frecciarossa. Those networks succeed because they connect dense cities through mature rail corridors, where stations sit close to urban centers and passengers understand the ritual almost instinctively. Nevada offers the opposite setting. There are no medieval neighborhoods to protect, no centuries-old station district to negotiate, and very few apartment owners worried that a vacuum tube might interrupt the view from their balcony. There is desert, distance, and enough open land to make a European planning committee quietly reach for a larger map. That empty space explains much of America's strange attraction to experimentation. In Europe, infrastructure often has to fit around history. In the United States, especially across the West, history sometimes has to watch from a safe distance while engineers ask how fast the machine can go. The Nevada landscape does not merely tolerate an unusual project, it almost encourages one. A sleek capsule racing through a giant tube looks less out of place there than a bicycle lane would look on the Las Vegas Strip. The addictive part is the collapse of distance. Los Angeles to San Francisco currently feels like a serious journey, whether someone drives for hours or passes through the repeated choreography of airports. Las Vegas to Phoenix also demands time, patience, and a willingness to watch the desert change very slowly. A system approaching airline speed on the ground would alter the emotional geography of the American West. Cities that once felt separated by a full day could begin behaving like distant neighborhoods of the same enormous region. That possibility speaks directly to a cultural habit Americans understand well. Inconvenience is often treated as an engineering problem waiting for a larger machine. The interstate highway answered distance with lanes. Commercial aviation answered it with altitude. Hyperloop asked whether air resistance itself can simply be removed from the argument. There's something wonderfully American in that refusal to accept the existing menu of options. European skepticism would be understandable because the technology remains experimental, and the transcript itself describes the concept as bold and risky, rather than ready for daily service. A working test system is not yet a national passenger network, just as a fast prototype is not the same as moving thousands of people safely every morning. But ambition does not become meaningless merely because the finish line remains far away. America's appeal has always included the feeling that tomorrow might be under construction somewhere beyond the next exit. In Nevada, that promise is taking the shape of a tube across the desert, while engineers quietly work on making several hundred miles feel inconveniently close. Miami fights back. Miami has never behaved like a city preparing to surrender. It builds glass towers beside the ocean, parks luxury cars under palm trees, and treats winter as a rumor from somewhere north of Orlando. That confidence is exactly what makes its multi-billion-dollar coastal protection plan so fascinating. Instead of asking whether life near the water should shrink, the city is exploring how engineering can protect the lifestyle that made millions of people fall in love with South Florida in the first place. The proposed program carries an estimated price tag of about $4.6 billion, with major elements including flood barriers, raised infrastructure, stronger pumping systems, and protections for vulnerable neighborhoods. Yet the most revealing feature is not any single wall or machine. It is the American belief hidden underneath the entire project. Valuable places are not abandoned simply because defending them is difficult. Europe offers two useful comparisons. Venice has spent decades protecting its historic lagoon through the MO's barrier system, while the Netherlands has built one of the world's most sophisticated networks of dams, dunes, gates, and storm surge defenses. Rotterdam can live below sea level because Dutch engineering treats water less like a surprise visitor and more like a difficult relative whose habits must be studied carefully. Miami faces a different combination of porous limestone, tropical storms, heavy rain, and tidal flooding, so copying Europe would never be enough. South Florida needs solutions designed for its own geography. That local stubbornness is what makes the project culturally compelling. Miami is not merely protecting buildings, it is defending an entire rhythm of life. Morning runs beside Biscayne Bay, crowded restaurants at Miami Beach, families gathering near the waterfront, cruise ships arriving under a bright sky, and neighborhoods whose identity depends on living close to the ocean all become part of the argument. A flood barrier may look like concrete on an engineering plan, but emotionally it protects the possibility that the city can remain recognizably itself. This is also where outside coverage often misses the most American part of the story. Reports about Miami frequently focus on risk, expensive real estate, rising insurance costs, and dramatic images of flooded streets. Those concerns deserve attention, although they can create the impression that the city is simply waiting for the water to win. The construction plans tell a far more active story. Pumps are being upgraded, roads are being raised, drainage systems are being reconsidered, and large protective structures are being debated because Americans rarely turn a serious threat into a quiet resignation letter. There's even a familiar South Florida humor to the whole idea. Miami looked at the Atlantic Ocean, noticed it was becoming a little too comfortable near the front porch, and decided the appropriate response involved billions of dollars, heavy machinery, and enough concrete to make a contractor cancel every weekend through 2035. The attraction of Miami has always come from its beautiful contradiction. It feels relaxed while constantly moving, tropical while intensely urban, glamorous while exposed to some of nature's strongest forces. Coastal protection does not remove that tension, it allows the city to keep living inside it. The most impressive American projects are not always built to conquer new territory. Sometimes they exist to tell the sea that the neighborhood is already taken. Chicago builds. Bigger. Chicago O'Hare does not need an introduction, because anyone who has crossed America by air has probably met it somewhere between a delayed connection, a moving walkway, and the sudden realization that the next gate appears to be located in another county. Yet the airport's massive rebuilding plan is not simply about making an already enormous place even larger. Its most interesting purpose is turning connection time from a punishment into an advantage. That idea matters because O'Hare represents something deeply American. The country's ability to make distant places function as neighbors. A traveler can leave a small city in Iowa, change planes in Chicago, and reach Europe, Asia, or the West Coast without first traveling to New York or Los Angeles. The airport acts like a giant national switchboard, except the telephone lines are runways and somebody is always sprinting toward gate C-23 with a backpack bouncing behind them. The planned expansion includes new satellite concourses, redesigned terminals, improved transit systems, additional airfield capacity, and enough room to serve tens of millions more passengers. However, the cultural difference is more revealing than the construction list. Major European airports such as Heathrow, Frankfurt, and Amsterdam Schiphol often serve countries where several large international gateways sit within relatively short distances. America must connect a continental nation spanning 6 time zones with communities separated by mountains, plains, deserts, and distances that can make an entire European country look like a convenient afternoon drive. That geography changes what an airport must become. O'Hare cannot operate merely as Chicago's front door. It has to function as shared infrastructure for people who may never leave the terminal. The rebuilt airport therefore aims to make transfers clearer, quicker, and less exhausting because connection quality is the real product being sold. Travelers do not become loyal to a hub because its runway looks impressive from the window. They return because the signs make sense, the train arrives quickly, the luggage follows them, and a short layover no longer feels like an Olympic event sponsored by rolling suitcases. This is where the project becomes strangely compelling. Great American infrastructure often feels less like a monument and more like a machine that quietly expands personal freedom. O'Hare allows a student from Nebraska, a business owner from Wisconsin, or a family from a smaller Midwestern town to enter a global network through one connection. That access is easy to overlook until it disappears, yet it changes where people can work, study, trade, visit, and imagine their future. International coverage sometimes judges American airports through worn carpets, crowded concourses, or disruption during winter storms. Those images are real, although they freeze the country in its most inconvenient moments. Chicago's response is not a carefully worded apology. It is a reconstruction effort on a scale large enough to reshape the surrounding economy, expand capacity, and prepare one of the world's busiest aviation crossroads for several more decades. Heathrow may feel like Britain's grand international lobby, while Frankfurt operates with the polished order of German engineering. O'Hare has another personality entirely. It resembles America itself. Vast, restless, occasionally overwhelming, yet capable of connecting places that seem far too distant to belong in the same journey. By 2035, the best improvement may not be something passengers photograph. It may simply be the moment someone lands, changes terminals smoothly, finds the correct gate without panic, and realizes that crossing a continent has become surprisingly ordinary. Vegas without traffic. Las Vegas has perfected nearly every stage of the grand entrance, except the part where visitors spend several hours staring at brake lights on Interstate 15. That awkward opening act may finally be rewritten by Brightline West, an electric high-speed rail line planned to cover roughly 218 miles between Southern California and Las Vegas, with trains designed to approach 200 miles per hour and complete the journey in just over 2 hours. The most interesting part of this project is not that America is building another fast train, it is that the train is being aimed directly at pleasure. European rail systems are often discussed through necessity. Paris and Lyon are major business centers, Madrid and Barcelona anchor national travel, while London and Paris are linked by a route used for work, tourism, family visits, and international commerce. Brightline West has a more playful personality. Its destination is Las Vegas, a city built around the cheerful American belief that ordinary life occasionally deserves neon lights, a hotel pool, an enormous steak, and a receipt best examined after returning home. That changes how people may feel about the journey. Driving from Southern California to Las Vegas can look easy on a map, yet holiday weekends regularly turn the desert highway into a very long parking lot with mountain scenery. The road trip begins with optimism, continues with snacks, and eventually reaches a stage where everyone in the car has developed a personal opinion about the driver in front. A train removes that tension before the vacation even starts. This is where Brightline West becomes more than transportation. It turns travel time into part of the entertainment. Passengers could sit together, talk, eat, use their phones, watch the desert pass by, and arrive without needing one person to sacrifice several hours behind the wheel. That small change matters culturally because American vacations often begin with work disguised as freedom. Someone must drive, navigate, find parking, remain alert, and pretend the third gas station stop was completely reasonable. Rail allows everyone to become a traveler at the same moment. France, Spain, and Italy already understand how comfortable trains can shape leisure. Residents of Paris can reach Mediterranean cities without turning every getaway into an airport mission, while Italy's high-speed network makes Rome, Florence, Milan, and Naples feel surprisingly close. The American version has a different flavor because Southern California and Las Vegas were largely designed around automobiles. Placing a fast electric train between them does not merely copy Europe, it inserts European-style convenience into one of the most car-dependent travel corridors in the United States. Its proposed alignment along the Interstate 15 corridor makes the contrast almost theatrical. Drivers could be inching through traffic while a train glides beside the highway at several times their speed. Nothing inspires immediate interest in public transportation, quite like watching it pass your car, while your navigation app adds another 47 minutes. The project also reveals why certain American infrastructure becomes so easy to love. It does not demand that people change what they enjoy. Americans can still visit Las Vegas, book oversized hotel rooms, attend concerts, eat at midnight, and return with stories that become less detailed each time they're told. Brightline West simply removes the least glamorous part of the tradition. International media often describes the United States as unable to build modern passenger rail because the country is too large and too attached to driving. This route answers with a more practical idea. America does not need to replace every car before one train becomes useful. It only needs to identify a journey millions of people already make, then offer them something faster, calmer, and far more enjoyable. By 2035, the most luxurious feature of a Las Vegas trip may not be the suite, the restaurant, or the view from the Strip. It may be arriving without having spent the previous 5 hours negotiating with traffic and questioning every life decision made near Barstow. These projects are not simply changing skylines, coastlines, airports, or the way Americans travel. Together they reveal a country that still refuses to accept yesterday as the final design. By 2035, the world may discover that America was never standing still. It was rebuilding beyond the headlines. Which project do you believe will transform everyday life the most? Share your choice below, and subscribe to the channel for more surprising stories about the America the world rarely gets to see.